Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Aida Shazuna binti Jasri and I will present about the culture of South Korea. The Korean people are descendants of several Mongol tribal groups who migrated around 4000 before Greece from what are now Siberia and Manchuria. They eventually became a homogeneous race, independent of their neighbors, with unique cultural traits distinct from the Chinese and Japanese. Firstly, the Korean age is different from others. Koreans are considered to be 1 year old at birth and traditionally on the next Lunar New Year. The newborn, along with all other Koreans, aged 1 year. So, if someone is born in December and Lunar New Year is in February, he or she would be 1 in December and then 2 in February. Koreans have lived by an ethic based on 5 hierarchical relationships. Age is the prime determinant of how is treated and how one treats others. Position is also very important and commands respects. From a Korean perspective, the question are this question like how old are you are necessary in order to establish the newcomer's position in the hierarchy. The vertical aspect is built into and enforced by the language, which utilize different forms depending on whether one is speaking to an older person, a friend, a colleague, or a child. Only when it's understood can non-Koreans begin to understand why they often encounter questions such as how old are you? Are you married? What is your position? How much do you make? Koreans place great emphasis on their social networks based on family, hometowns, provinces, school, and university associations. Their life expectancy until the middle of the 20th century. Life expectancy in Korea was low. Reaching their 60th birthday was a great achievement. Infant mortality was so high that celebration and festivities attendant upon the birth of a child were not held until the 100th day of the child's life. Medical advances have increased life expectancy and decreased infant mortality, but the traditional celebrations still continue, making the 100th day and 600 year and 60 year after birth the most important birthday in the life of a Korean. Although, given the improved longevity, an increasing number of people are waiting until their 70th birthday to celebrate. Hanbok is the traditional Korean costume. The Hanbok today refers to the Joseon dynasty. It is characterized by a riot of color and simple lines. Han means Korea and Bok means clothing. It refers specifically to clothing of the Joseon period and is worn as semi-formal or formal wear during traditional festivals and celebration. It was the daily clothes until 100 years ago, but nowadays it is only worn for special events like birthdays, weddings, or public holidays. The higher class show their authority with their knowledge more than with money or exterior signs of wealth. In contrast, the lower class would only wear hanbok made of hemp or cotton with bright colors. The hanbok was a way to separate the different social classes present in Korea. Nowadays, some Korean peoples wear hanbok during the major holidays, important celebrations, or occasions such as the first day of Lunar New Year, first day of Thanksgiving, holiday wedding parties, and child 100-day celebration. The family wear myeongjol hanbok during the Lunar New Year. Children express their respect for their parents by dressing themselves in front of them. Both parents and children must wear a hanbok. The second one is the children wear doll hanbok during the first birthday celebration that's called doljianchi in Korea. They must wear for the first birthday of a child and is celebrated to wish them a long and successful life. All the family, relatives, and friends celebrate in a restaurant or hotel depends on their budget. This celebration blesses the children with the properest future and has taken of great significance in Korea. Custom. In South Korea, custom of social behavior that governs human interaction is largely derived from Korean Confucianism and focuses on the core values of this religion. Custom in South Korea also determines how to behave with respect to social status. The first one is the most common way of greeting in Korea is bowing or jol in Korea. A person who is younger or lower in position bows to someone older or higher in position. When bowing, place both arms down along the body and avoid eye contact. Bowing silent bow can be seen as rude, so make sure to give a verbal greeting such as hello, nice to meet you, thank you, or goodbye. Secondly, South Koreans use chopsticks when they are eating, and their chopsticks are made from stainless steel. During a meal, these chopsticks are not to be thrown on the table because of the noise. Similarly, spoons should not touch plates because they may make a clashing sound. Chopsticks and spoons should never be put into food, particularly rice, in a standing up position because it resembles food offerings at a grave for deceased ancestors, and it is therefore considered bad luck. The last one is when elder guests are asking to pour a drink, they are expected to offer the drink respectfully with two hands. When pouring alcoholic drinks, guests should hold the cup with their right hand, and the wrist of their right hand should be held lightly with their left hand. Guests are expected to always pass and receive objects with their right hand or with two hands, and to never use the left hand alone. The same etiquette applies when adult guests receive alcoholic drinks. However, if elders offer alcoholic drinks to younger guests, the younger guest should take a drink and politely show gratitude by saying thank you. If the alcoholic drink is beer, it is proper for younger guests to turn their heads. This action pleases elders because when someone of the higher social standing pours a drink, it is considered proper for the less significant person to turn away.
Food is the best medicine. The Korean people have maintained a belief that food and medicine have the same origin and hence perform the same function. They believe that health and illness alike come from the food they consume and how they eat. The Korean foods that best represent the tradition of fermentation developed in Korea, that whose fermentation can take anywhere from several months for several years. Fermentation is a key factor in the taste and flavor of food cooked at home and in restaurants. Fermentation is a metabolic process that helps foods to mature so that it has improved taste and nutritional properties and can be stored a longer period. The first one is doenjang, that called soybean paste, and kanjang, that means soy sauce. To make them, it is necessary to soak soybeans in water and boil them until fully cooked. Then they must be pounded and formed into brick-shaped lumps and left to dry and ferment. Then they placed in salted water in large pot along with the red, dry chili and heated charcoal, which help remove impurities and odor during the fermentation process. The beans prepared are then left for about 2-3 months until they become fully fermented. This product should then be divided into two, solids or liquids, of which the former needs to be brewed for over 5 more months and the latter for over 3 months to develop a full flavor and taste. Just like wine, soy sauce tends to have a richer flavor and taste when brewed for a longer period. The next one is kimchi. Kimchi has been praised for the anti-carcinogenic properties and nutritional value, as well as numerous variations that create extremely diverse flavors and tastes. The most common type of kimchi is made by mixing salted white cabbage with kimchi paste that made of chili powder, garlic, spring onion, Korean radish ginger, fish sauce, and other ingredients like fresh seafood. Kimchi can be eaten fresh, but it is normally consumed after fermenting it for several days. Kimchi is normally eaten after fermenting it for several days, although some prefer called mugenji, that called red kimchi, which is fully fermented for over 1 year. The ingredients of kimchi vary according to each region and its special local produce and tradition. Seoul, for instance, is famous for gunjung kimchi, which called royal kimchi, bosom kimchi, that's mean black kimchi, chonggak kimchi, that's mean whole radish kimchi, and kakdugi, which are cube radish kimchi, while Jeollado province is well known for its kodal pagi kimchi, that's called Korean lettuce kimchi, and gat kimchi, that's called leaf mustard kimchi. Next one is bulgogi, which literally means fire meat, refers to a traditional Korean dish made by grilling beef or pork. After shredding or slicing it and marinating it in sweet soy sauce mixed with a great variety of condiments. It is one of the rare meat dishes to have developed in Korea, where people were generally more accustomed to eating vegetable dishes and has won many enthusiasts outside the country. Bulgogi has recently been adopted by fast food restaurants in Korea, resulting in emergence of bulgogi hamburger and pizza. The last one is top, which called Korean rice cake. Korean rice cake is the refers to a range of sticky cake made by steaming powdered rice with other grains, usually beans, or by pounding boiled rice into different shapes and texture. While top was sometimes eaten as part of a meal, it was more often one of a variety of special foods served at a special family or communal occasions such as birthday parties, wedding receptions, memorial services, and traditional holidays. Rice is the main ingredient in rice cake, but it is often mixed with other grains such as fruits, nuts, and herbs such as mugwort, red bean, jujube, soybean, and chestnut. Korean people in the past assigned various symbolic meanings to thought and ate it according to those meanings. They made baksogi, which called white steamed rice cake, for instance, on the first birthday of the baby, as it symbolized a long life, and they made patrisutok, which calls steamed red bean and rice cake. Whenever they started a business, a red color was believed to help repel evil forces. They celebrate New Year's Day with toku, which means consisting of a broth with a rice cake, and chuseok. Chuseok is the 15th day of each lunar month, with songyang, bite-sized half moon-shaped rice cake stuffed with a honey, chestnut, soybean, or sesame mixture. There are many famous dog houses in Nangwon-dong in downtown Seoul. In the next slide, I will talk about the religion in South Korea. Firstly, they have a shamanism. Shamanism is a primitive religion which does not have a systematic structure but permeates into a daily life of the people through folklore and customs. Neolithic men in Korea had animistic belief that every object in the world possessed by a soul. Man was also believed to have a soul that never dies. So, a corpse was laid with its head towards the east in the direction of the sunrise. Neolithic men believed that while good spirits like the sun would bring good luck to human beings, evil spirits would bring misfortune. The shaman, or mudang, that's named in Korea, is an intermediary who can link the living with the spiritual world where the dead reside. The shaman is considered capable of averting bad luck, curing sickness, and assuring a propitious passage from this world to the next. The shaman is also believed to resolve conflicts and tensions that might exist between the living and the dead. Korean shamanism includes the worship of thousands of spirits and demons that are believed to dwell in every object in the natural world, including rocks, trees, mountains, and streams, as well as celestial bodies. A shamanistic ritual rich with exorcist elements presents theatrical elements with music and dance. They assimilated elements of shamanistic faith and coexisted peacefully. Shamanism has remained an underlying religion of the Korean people as well as a vital aspect of their culture. The next one is Buddhism. Buddhism is highly disciplined philosophical religion which emphasizes personal salvation through rebirth in endless cycle of reincarnation. Buddhism was introduced into Korea in 372 century era during the Goguryeo kingdom period by a monk named Sundo who came from Qian Qing dynasty China. In Silla, Buddhism was disseminated by monk Edo of Goguryeo by the mid-5th century. Buddhism seems to have been well supported by the ruling people of the three kingdoms because it was suitable as a spiritual prop for the governing structure, with Buddha as the single objective of worship like the king as the single object of authority. It has embraced Buddhism as the state religion, though the government systems were along Confucian lines. Royal preference for Buddhism in this period produced as magnificent flowering for Buddhist arts and temple architecture, including Ulgutsa Temple and other relics in Kyunju, the capital of Silla. The state cult of Buddhism began to deteriorate as the nobility indulged in a leisure lifestyle. These attempts, however, failed and even resulted in a revival of interest in native Buddhism among Koreans. The past few decades has seen Buddhism undergo a sort of renaissance involving efforts to adapt to the change of modern society, while the majority of monks remains in mountainous areas. There are a large number of monks doing scholastic research or religion at university in and outside Korea. Korean Buddhism has been growing noticeably with many foreigners following by footsteps of Korean monks through training at South Korea. The next one is Confucianism, that was a model, the religious belief founded by Confucius in 6th century. Confucianism was a religion without a god like early Buddhism, but age passed and the sage and principal disciplines were canonized by lead followers. Confucianism was introduced along with earliest specimens of Chinese written materials around the beginning of the Christian era. The three kingdoms of Goguryeo, Baekje, and Silla all left records that indicates the early existence of Confucian influence. They united Silla when delegations of scholars attended China to observe the working of the Confucian institutions. The Chosun dynasty, which was established in 1392, accepted Confucianism as the official ideology and developed as a Confucian system of education, ceremony, and civil administration. Efforts were also made to reform Confucianism to adapt it to the changing conditions of the times. These reformers accepted the new Western civilization and endeavored to establish a modern, independent government. Also, during Japan's colonial rule of Korea, these reformers joined many independence movements to fight against Imperial Japan. Confucian ancestral worship is still prevalent, and filial piety highly revered as the virtue in Korean society. The next one is Christian. Christian mission activity reached Korea in the 17th century when copies of Catholic missionary Matthew Ricky's works in Chinese were brought from Beijing by the annual tributary mission of the Chinese emperor. By the 18th century, there were several converts among these scholars and their families. No priors entered Korea until 1794 when the Chinese priors visited Korea. The number of converts continued to increase, although the propagation of foreign religion on Korean soil was still technically against the law, and there were sporadic persecutions. By the year 1865, a dozen friars presided over a community of some 23,000 believers. With the coming to power in 1863 of Taiwan, Prince Regent persecution began in earnest and continued until 1873. In 1925, Koreans who had been martyred during the Chosun dynasty, persecution were beatified as Peter's Basilica in Rome, and in 1968 an additional 24 were honored in the same way. The Korean Catholic Church grew quickly and its hierarchy was established in 1962. The Roman Catholic Church in Korea celebrated its bicentennial with a visit to Seoul. It was the first time that the canonization ceremony was held outside the vacation that the Roman Catholic Church in Korea that celebrated its bicentennial visit to Seoul by Pope John Paul and the canonization of 93 Korean and 10 French missionary martyrs in 1984. This gave Korea the fourth largest number of Catholic saints in the world, although quantitative growth has been slow for Catholicism. The last one is Islam. Islam is arrived in the Korean peninsula by means of Farsi and Arab traders who settled in the region in the 7th century. However, the region's distance from other Muslim countries due to its geographical location made it difficult for Islam to spread there. Many Islamic sources written by around 18 Muslim scholars. Most of the Muslim traders settled in Korea permanently and established Muslim villages there. The settlement of Arab traders in the region and their marriage to Korean women had created a Muslim community in Korea. But the traces of Islam in the country was almost destroyed by the Joseon dynasty in 14th century. In the mid-1970s, the rise of South Korea's economic relationships with Arab and Muslim countries and the open doors of these countries for Korean Muslims accelerated the spread of Islam in Korea. Besides, this return of Koreans who had gone to Saudi Arabia for work and converted to Islam there also increased the number of Muslims in South Korea. In Korea, the religious conversion of people who are interested in Islam is difficult process as it means leaving all traditions and Korean lifestyle behind completely. In this country, culture where obedience to parents is the most important social rule and young people bend in front of family elders as an indication of respect. Many Koreans who became Muslim practice their religion in secret due to their fear of refusal by their families. The status of alcohol as an indirect factor enabling communication between people within Korean social structure also poses a problem for Muslims. As a matter of fact, refusing the drink offered in front of family gatherings can cause Muslims to lose their job or to be considered disrespectful of their friends or family. At this point, the only thing a Muslim Korea can do is completely remove themselves from their former environment or migrate to a Muslim country. Those who choose Islam add a Muslim name to their names as an unofficial nickname instead of changing their full name. All from me. Thank you very much.